Dut. Dut, 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 dut. Bum ba dum ba dum bum bum. Bum ba dum ba dum ba dum ba dum bum bum. Hello. Hello, people. Hello, hello. Bum, bum, bum. Ba-da-da-dum. Dun, 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 dun. Hello, people. Thanks for tuning in. As always, say hi in the chat if you can, so I know you're alive. Bum ba bum ba bum. Ba ba bum ba bum. Ba ba bum ba bum. Dun 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 dun. Thanks for tuning in, guys. So today, gonna be working on doing some sound effects in Bitwig for this game here. You've probably seen us talk about it on the channel before, coming out, called Cove Kid. And yeah, we are actively working on all the music and sound design for the game. So I figured I would take this session to go and do some like design sketches for the sounds, another couple of sounds as the game's being developed and more actions are integrated. We're knowing what we need to get in here. So yeah, I figured why not. Recently I've been working a lot in Renoise, writing a plugin for Renoise. I think that could be like really tedious to watch, so I figured maybe wouldn't do that. I might put it on in the background, a song I was composing in Renoise. So right now you're listening to all original music by me. It's great. It's the only way to not get zucked. All right. So let's get down to brass tacks here. So the first thing I'm going to do is, so I've got my Bitwig project here. And basically my strategy to design sound effects for this game was to use Bitwig for all the sound design. and to have one project where I'm doing all of the effects, and then layering in, I can put the background music in as well, and so kind of like mixing the effects against the music, all, you know, hopefully relatively normalized, and then being able to hear all the effects like around each other, right? So that's kind of the strategy here, was to use one Bitwig project for all of it. And I, you know, do a lot of renoise on this channel, but I like to, you know, use Bitwig for the sound design element, because I feel like it's got a much more natural interface as far as like adding different envelopes and LFOs and motion to like individual sounds. I like renoise as an interface for arranging and like composing and trying things like that. And that's the reason I don't really like Bitwig as much, is because I don't really want to do stuff on the MIDI roll. But yeah, so that's kind of why doing everything in Reno or in Bitwig here. And just to make sure everything's working, we can just go ahead and play our project here. And yeah, so I have the demo. I'm going to mute that because we're not going to worry too much about listening to the background music and the relative volume levels of the sound effects. So if we're just going to jump into it, you can see already I've got 9 different sound effects made for the game. And again, one of the biggest, most important principles to me is to make sure everything is really mixed down relative to each other correctly. That loudness is just, to me, is 100% like the key to making sure that what you got going on is like nice and enjoyable to listen to, etc. So let's go ahead in 1 second here and just check in something real quick. We'll let it go. You can see all the track titles right here. This is the name of the sound effect. So it's a platformer puzzle game. So you get some really basic action, you know, like jump, and you know, you got a sound when you hit the ground, and when you got different menu selects, or some of the things we're working on. So yeah, let's go ahead and play through some of these. So there's jump. Land on a platform, select and things are empty, select and it's abled. That's when you cancel your gun. That's when you shoot your little block placer. That's your undo. And that's when you are aiming your gun and you get an approval. So per correspondence with the quote-unquote client here, and I wonder, is there any way to do like a little notepad, sticky note on the Mac, because I would like to throw this on here, but regardless, I will just make the tracks for it. So we've got 6 more sound effects that we're going to be working on today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to rename these. Now, one thing that really quintessential to the workflow and everything is, like, if you name these tracks the right thing that they need to be when you bounce them, they will have their correct names. I know that's a little confusing, but long story short, if you stay organized on your naming in the right place in Bitwig, when you're actually putting the files into the game, like into the actual game engine, then it's going to be a lot simpler, right? So I'm just going to rename these, and we'll keep our list here. And again, I'm going to kind of rename them by what I think they should be named in the game. That, you know, ends up being a bit of a, you know, correspondence issue between myself and the client here. But yeah, let me pull up my notes. Okay, so first of all, the first one is going to be called Fast Travel. Fast, it's 2 T's, travel up. So this is your kind of quintessential teleportation. One thing about, I guess, in the game is that you have these fast travel points where, you know, you're this little computer guy, and it basically like loads you up to the internet, and then you get downloaded somewhere else, right? So that's our, you know, our kind of basis for the thoughts behind that. So we fast travel up and fast travel down. I'd like to do the down in kind of a reverse of, the action of the up. Obviously, that makes sense. And then I've already got kind of an idea in my head of how I want to do that one. So we'll get back to it in a little bit. So the next one is Water Death. The whole feel of the game is it's not a very violent game. It's not really action oriented at all. So death is probably harsh. Too harsh of a word, even though you kind of die. We'll call it water. Well, it's not a waterfall, water pit. Yeah, that's good because it's not an actual waterfall. That would give us something kind of the wrong idea. Okay, so then next up we have reset. Okay, so reset puzzle. And again, this is a fun part, is getting to make these sound effects from scratch. It can be a little challenging. It's pretty abstract. But that's part of the creative process. All right, so after reset sound, we have moving platform, contact with the wall. Okay, so we're gonna call that platform contact. So we have these platforms you jump on, they're flying around and they hit the wall. And so, again, I'm probably gonna end up using something related to, where is it here? Land platform, kind of an empty hollow metal sound. And then we've got, we're going to call it menu select and then menu choose. We have some similar sounds to those already. And so we'll use this as reference. What we really want to do is, first of all, just get the right character to the sound, make it do something interesting that makes sense, make it fundamentally the right sound. After that, then we're going to, probably try to mix it against these other sound effects. Hopefully we'll be ballpark to begin with. And then what I will be doing at a later date is adding just a little bit more stereo depth and character to these. This is essentially the prototyping or the sketch phase of what we got going on, right? So the best way to get consistency between the different sounds is to start with an existing one. I'm going to put the background music on here a little bit in the background. As long as, so it's a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. So the best thing that we can do is start with a sound that we already like, or not that we already like, but something that's already being used. So that way we can kind of build off that, get a bit of consistency with the texture. So we're going to listen to some of these. So, okay, we're going to start with this fast travel up. What I want to do with this one is, I'd say the primary sound effect I'm being inspired here by is, it's pretty obscure, but in the Super Nintendo Kirby games and Game Boy and Nintendo, when he's getting on the Warp Star. And, I feel like a long time I figured this out. They kind of do an arpeggiator and they pitch bend it. That's going to be a little obscure, but you'll see in a second what I'm talking about here. So again, I want to take one of these sounds that's kind of just a nice tone and maybe start from there, right? Okay. So I'm going to take this one. It's kind of a nice tone, not really where we want it to be, but it's gonna, get me a little bit to where what I think will be appropriate. All right. So when you do that down here, now best practice, these should all be at, the same C octave here. They're not. It doesn't really matter. But that's just a good way to keep, again, the biggest challenge with all this stuff is keeping stuff saved and organized, right? Okay. So, once again, kind of imagining, a teleport point where you've got this little guy and this little computer guy. This thing comes down. I think maybe I can go pull that up in an email or something like that where, it's kind of whatchamacallit. I don't think I have the concept art on hand unless I can grab it real quick. But that's it's teleport point. So, all right, I'm going to go in, and so I should say my primary tool for synthesizers is Reason in this. And I like Reason. I recently fell kind of back in love with it because of how many just different synthesizers there are. And they all just have such good character. I feel like that is the hardest part about Ableton or Bitwig or a lot of programs, is just for some reason the synthesizers in the program just don't tend to have an interesting character. That's very, 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 very subjective and probably a little biased, and maybe just an excuse for me to spend some money. Okay, since we're getting a little sun, I'm going to turn the music back down here. So the first thing I want to do is add an arpeggiator. And again, this, you'll kind of hear this as we get into why why I want this, as I can get it hooked up. So let's set the loop in Bitwig so it'll keep playing just while we get this arpeggiator working, right? All right. So let's see, we turn it on free. Let's do 2 octave, 3 octave, I think, pattern. There we go. Okay, so we see it turning on. We got to go to the output, gate out. And I think we go to, yes, gate and CV. Okay, let's see, that should do it. No. There we go, okay. All right. So we have the whatchamacallit, the arpeggiator controlling the synthesizer here every time. Okay, so that's the first basic step. That's giving me kind of the motion I want. I'm just gonna go ahead and put this right over here. And then the next step that I'm gonna do, this can be a little tricky. There's different ways to do it. I think the way I want to do it is via an automation in whatchamacallit here in Bitwig. So we got our rotary one, and we see that because we're copying it off this other one, it's already wired up there. So basically, this is where Bitwig starts to really communicate with with Reason, right? And this is another reason why I really like Bitwig for this purpose, is because all the LFOs and envelopes I have in Bitwig here, most of the time I can just move a knob in Reason and you can see that they pop up on that VST object inside of Bitwig, which is really, really useful and can save a lot of time. Now, it doesn't always work perfect, and this is a good example. I had to route one of these combinator knobs to the pitch bend wheel inside of Reason, but there's a workaround. You know, that's kind of the fun of the whole thing, I think, in a way, is like finding these workarounds and going with stuff. So okay, now first of all, let's just see how this sounds. Okay, so that's not doing anything because we haven't hooked up this modulator in Bitwig to the that rotary one. So this envelope you see here is going to now turn this rotary one. Okay, so we're starting to get the kind of motion that we want, right? And you can maybe like imagine. Now immediately, yeah, you know, it's always a matter of getting closer and closer to what you're imagining. Now, a couple things is I don't want it to go down at the end. And I don't really want it to suspend like that. So we're going to have to figure out a way to really make the what do you want to call it? The envelope of the whole thing, because we're using an arpeggiator, so we're re-triggering the notes. We can't just do the arpeggiator on here. Let's see how does it act. So we can see how long that takes. Now, again, a lot of this process rather is just getting it as close as you can before, you know, in my opinion, really, you know, getting too You just got to keep tuning it after a while. So immediately I'm not getting a lot of the vibe I want. Again, now I'm just kind of just gonna start tweaking and see, you know, what I can do. The other thing is now I think that we need this to affect this ARP rate knob. So instead of making those married, which is I wanted to just wire those two, we'll just make a copy of this. And this is a very cool little feature. I haven't seen this in new Bitwig. And there is another new version of Bitwig, I guess, that I need to upgrade to. But, okay, yeah, so we're going to make another envelope, and we're going to map that to the ARP rate. So that way it speeds it up, as well as pitches it up. So we're starting to hear, you know, a little bit more of the character of what we want. And, you know, again, this is kind of where we just start to tweak it a little bit. Immediately looking on here at our ARP. If I recall correctly, and I know there should be a way to do this. And you know, the other thing is that we don't have to do this with the Arpeggiator in Reason. We could be doing it with the Arpeggiator in Bitwig, which we might actually try to do if we're not able to relatively quickly find, you know, what it is that we want to find. Which is to say, I want to kind of like, I want to go up by a perfect fifth as opposed to just this like octave control, right? And yeah, we're gonna try to do this in with Bitwig's Arpeggiator, especially because Bitwig's Arpeggiator finally got non-synchronous rate added to it in a relatively recent update, where you can then make it not just like repeated eighth notes or 16th notes. We can. So, okay, now I see this is exactly what I want. I couldn't see how to do that in the Arpeggiator on Reason there. So, let's see. We're going to slow this down a little bit. And then I think we just want to do that, maybe with 2 steps, so it just repeats. So, and then if we... Okay, so now we're running into this issue that the Arpeggiator is actually retriggering our one envelope that we have doing the pitch. And we don't want that, so there's an easy workaround. Is that we take that envelope, we put them in a group, and then we just put it outside like this. And then now we have our rotary here, and we can remap that one. And you can see the Arpeggiator is going to make any envelope after it retrigger, but then this one is going to just do that. So, and I really... So, let's take another look at what's going on here. Now, we're really... I'm having a harder time getting to the character on this than I would want. We can just, you know, obviously keep going through a couple of different things. I'm going to turn it up a couple octaves now. You know, it's not really giving us like a high energy kind of like, you know, like, wow. You know, that's a little bit better, but that's kind of just... So let's tweak. And then maybe we do want to go like a 4-octave thing on here. Why not? It's a little bit, a little bit closer still. Okay, yeah, so we're starting to get a little. And then, you know, we can always... So that's getting a little bit better, isn't it? Now, why don't we try just playing with some of our... I want some noise. Or something a little bit noisier. So this is starting to get there. Okay, yeah, so we're starting to hear it. Maybe a little delay instead of reverb. And then, yeah, we probably want to come... Okay, yeah, so we're starting to get it. You know, I kind of almost want like a little bit more weight to it. Well, let's take the delay off. Okay. And that we can see over here on our envelope down at the bottom corner here. Where's this? Is it this one? No, how do we do the time? There we go. So, yeah, and we have, this is only doing a certain amount. We can go ahead and close that one. Wanted to do a more extreme kind of pitch. Shift. And so we click our rotary knob 1 and then it pops up. Well, no, maybe, yeah. And then we can right click here, do 4 stage, click this, and then we can edit the curb. Okay, so you know, and this one, this is definitely a sound that can use a little bit more love in the background. You know, this can have a couple layers, you know, if you really think about what's going on when, you know, again, let me see if I can find this and airdrop it to myself real quick. You know, the idea, this whole thing about, there we go. Can I just share this? Yeah, again, like you're this little computer guy, and then, you know, this thing kind of, this computer is like teleporting you, right? And like dropping it on your head here. So, yes, let's see here. Can double click and open this little GIF, and we'll pull up the concept art of what exactly it is we're doing. And, you know, this is kind of a practice I always like to do. Whenever I'm, you know, working on a project or working on, you know, so this is, yeah, this is the actual animation. You know, the more other mediums that you can be inspired by as you're watching, the better, right? The more that you're going to be just kind of subconsciously taking cues from this. So, I mean, even if we look at this and we're looking at how it goes down and like gets his head, it goes, and then he shuts off, right? And let's see, this is 16 frames. So if this is, you know, we're gonna say maybe like 15 frames per second. We can always change that. It goes, zzz, you know, you can kind of imagine, like that. Actually, the part that we're doing now seems like maybe it would be, you know, the little sound after it grabs his head, right? And then there's almost like a would be like the hand coming down, and then like you know, power off kind of sound or whatever. Like, yeah. So we can kind of think about that, right? About how we would, you know, think about this being like a 3-part sound effect. So in fact, we're going to start designing it like that. So I'm going to say that we're happy with this last little bit. Let's see what is taken up. Streamlabs is like really upset about this one little GIF, man. That's insane. And that we just closed. Great. Let me see if I can just open this in Chrome, and we can that way watch it and see. Yeah. So So actually what I'm going to do is grab my stopwatch here, and then I'm going to, for my own sake, time, you know, again, we could probably figure this out. So he starts on the ground, it reaches down and grabs his head. So as soon as he gets on the ground, I'm going to hit the stopwatch, and then when it grabs his head, I'm going to do it again. Boom, boom. So that's about half a second. You know, 16 frames. We count the frames. Yeah, about 0.36 seconds. So what I want to do is go, and we're going to kind of mix and match here. So the first step that I do, just kind of going off intuition and looking at the process here of how he's doing his little getting his head grabbed. I'm going to try to make a mechanical sound by looping some noise and then doing a pitch down on it, right? And again, we said it's about half a second. And so up at the top here, we can see that within the composition or project, we're at 30 seconds, about 0.6. And how many? That's 31.7. So 30.6. That's about half a second. All right, so we'll call it this long, right? I think that's 3 beats or something, right? And then, you know, we're going to be adding in another little part here in a minute. All right, so we got our bit kit, and I'm grabbing these bit kit samples. I've been using these pretty gratuitously. They're nice little, you know, 8-bit sample packs. And then actually what I want to do is get some pink noise. We want kind of a more organic thing. Sorry about that. We want kind of a more organic noise in our sound here. And then we're going to take that and go down. So we've got that looping, and I can just play it. I'm playing something else too. Okay. So we really need this to work in a loop to do what I want it to do. Let's go down here, grab this. Okay. And then we don't really want it to be that well, you know, pitched. We got some cross fading. Let's see if we can make that a little bit. See kind of this idea of, we kind of want something like that, right? I do want to kind of turn up the crossfading if possible and see where our so just looking at this here again, we kind of want to, but not really. Something like that for this little thing where it comes zzz. So maybe if we just don't have any, that's kind of a little bit more what we want. So we're gonna put another envelope on here. We're gonna do a 4-stage, which is this kind of simple. I don't like how it's really limited as to how exponential you can get on that one, but I think it should do what we want it to do. Click that, and then we're gonna map it to our speed here. Okay, so that's kind of getting the job done. And then we're going to use the hold and the decay. And then so So yeah, I don't feel like this is quite going to give me what I'm looking for doing this off of the noise sample. So I'm going to take a different approach. So I'm going to open up another instance of Reason here and get one of my favorite synthesizers. This one is Parsec. Parsec is one of my favorite synthesizers because it is a spectral synthesizer, meaning that it uses, I can't really explain it, but it's not really using waves. I mean, it is using waves like square stuff, but it uses spectrum, kind of these like filter banks. You know, it's like a series of like filter banks. And so you get these really interesting, really synthetic kind of sounds, which is why I'm going to end up looking for kind of what I can hear on some of my, a noise effect. And then we'll try to do the same thing. Now, random signs is not it. We're looking for these, like, some of these. Let's see. So it's starting to get closer. We don't really. We're getting a little attack from somewhere. Maybe from this partial envelope. What if we turn this off? So these are the effects on it. Turn the range all the way up. Yeah, see, it's starting to get it. Let's keep this little guy up on screen somehow, shall we? Because it just feels like it's important to look at this while we're really, doing our work here. Fuck it, let's move that one down, and then we'll just keep him open here, and then keep looking at it while we're trying to really just go for that, like, see if we can time it up. I'm gonna open our little guy here. I guess I could open it directly for you guys on a window in OBS, but that's not fair to me. So why don't we just pull this way, and then we'll take him down and just put him in the corner here. He just needs to be right there. There we go. Okay, so yeah, and I guess if you're on Ableton, I've never used this feature, but I always knew that it was there. You could import videos into Ableton, which is pretty cool. Just to, I think, do pretty much what we're doing now. But we're in Bitwig. Can't do that. So, yeah. So this is a really good. So I'm gonna remember that. It's gotta go like zzz, that's kind of what I'm going for, is this buzzing. That's also not it. That's great. I like that one. It reminds me of some Mario. Now, I guess if we're really smart, lazy smart, which one is it? That will go onto here and go to pitch generator, turn the LFO. And so I just hooked up the LFO so that way I can go through these and really hear what they're doing. Because again, I'm not getting exactly what I'm looking for here. There's other ways to do this. See, okay, now we have a good computery noise right here. Still not really like this, one sound we're going for, but keeping all these in the back of my mind. Let's change the LFO shape to something a bit more rampy, if we have it. And I'm just not finding kind of now, is there see, now I'm starting to get like some of these sounds that I want to keep for the second one. I don't know why that one is. Yeah, like some of these are gonna really work. Are gonna work when for the second part where we kind of have him shut off, right? He's gonna go like there's got to be that. There's really like 3 parts, right, to this whole action here. Is the come down with the arm, turn him off, and then he gets like there's like got to be like a little like, you know, like that, right? So I don't like, we're kind of, I'm juggling between a couple of different thoughts here, but I want that to be a little bit snappier when it does happen, right, too. So again, one of the reasons I like it is it's like I can go and just add in an envelope in Bitwig where I feel a little bit more comfortable with it rather than, you know, learning all of the enveloping system in whatchamacallit here. And then, see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I can move this knob in Reason right there and then shows up in Bitwig. I just click that, I map it, and then I can, you know, supposedly, oops, it's not the right one. Okay, I see. Yeah. Let's see, that's good. Okay. We're gonna take this one. Okay, so if we can get this first one to really kind of do that, like this machine motion that I want, we're gonna try a different synth because I'm just not getting the noise I want out of that one. So this time we're gonna go to blah, blah, blah. Where is it? I forget what it's called. Vecto. That's it. Okay. This is not a blah, blah, blah. It's not a I don't know what kind of synth it is really. I think it's wavetable. And we didn't. Luckily, Reason's pretty forgiving with Control Z. Vecto is a wavetable synthesizer, I believe. So with Vecto, we can, you know, again, it's just got this like character to it that you just don't hear in a lot of other stuff. Some of them don't have a lot of character. To be honest, I don't know why I bought this Predator RE. Rob Papin designed both of them. Buddy, I love Vecto. I bought Predator. I don't like the character to it anymore. It doesn't sound good to me. It's just this is what it is. Okay, so we're gonna try to use this one to make our robot noise again, and I'm gonna see if I can find a nice preset, like if there's you know, initialized kind of example. It's not really what we want. Rhythm, we probably want like a texture kind of, but let's just go ahead and turn all these off. And then I guess, how do you get rid of these little vector points? Do we just draw them? I don't really remember. We'll just stick them all over here for now. So I'm using this one because I think it's got some waveforms. God, and this is like another good point, is that I can just keep layering in. So I'm gonna actually layer that one in, so that way you can get the actual feeling of, you know, this tiny little sound when it grabs his head, right? Because it like goes down. We'll move all this. You know, I will probably at a later date get a little bit more exact with the timing. But again, I think this is like, I'm always saying this, and I really believe it super hard, is that you really gotta learn. You know, just like in drawing, you're gonna sketch things. It's totally the same principle with designing sound and doing music, is that the more you can learn to hear things and understand them as placeholders, the more you're going to be able to do like learn this process of like refining complex ideas. Okay, so we found a little happy accident there. Still not doing what we want. Now I'm gonna go through, and thing is, it's like, feel like this should loop, but it's not looping. Does this have a pitch bend? How come I'm not seeing a I have a pitch bend knob on here? Because I'm blind. It's right there. Okay. Ooh, and it goes all the way up to 48. So it goes down 48. Okay, so again, this is still not really getting the motion I'm going for here. Like, a lot of this is like, it's too cartoony. Now, is there any sort of reverse sample? That's cool. I didn't know that was there. What does the free do? Free running? Like, I want it to repeat, and I don't think that is an option. Why don't we go look? Okay, so we got tuned perk samples 1, 2, spectral. No. We want noise. Yeah. We really need like kind of a now again, maybe I can go back to this like pink noise thing and do it differently. So why don't we just try that? Yeah, way too fat. And maybe it wants to go in the opposite direction. So let's edit the modulator. And then we need to like a you know, kind of like a ratchet, you know. Like way higher pitch though. Let's listen to the whole sound effect. If we unloop it just to kind of see. Yeah. So All right, so there, I feel like that's almost kind of what we want. And we're going to try doing it a different way, which is to put a frequency shifter on there. So again, we can just copy this envelope, and it's usually best practice. I like having things with a lot of centralized control, but then you lose the ability to kind of divide. You know, you might want to have them do separate things here. And okay, so we're really starting to get it here. Think, kind of. Let's go and tweak that down a little bit. And then it kind of like, there we go. That's kind of a, nice. And then, so this is all coming off of that. And then maybe if we do this down a little bit again. What is it doing? Aha, okay. Move this up, and then so yes, that's really kind of where we want it to be, right? If we're looking again at the kind of 4 major actions I'm seeing of, you know, how we've got this. Why don't we move this in here a little bit closer? Cool. Yeah, so we, you know, this ended up being a little bit, actually a lot more interestingly in depth than I had imagined on the first kind of, you know, go through when I imagined the sketch for the sound effect. But, you know, it's obviously nice to be able to match all the little animation points to, you know, what we've got going on here. We are starting to get towards the end of our stream today. I do want to thank you guys again for tuning in. You know, once again, the game that we're working on, it's called Cathode Kid. It'll be coming out PC and Mac, and then hopefully eventually on the Nintendo Switch. We'll keep doing a couple different streams of different little pieces and parts. I'm still writing the music, and this is just a couple more of the sound effects. So, if only we could put videos into Bitwig, that would be so great. Maybe you can. If you can, please tell me. I don't think you can. But, okay. Yeah, the finishing touches I'm going to put on, and then we're going to go ahead and the stream here is just putting on a little bit of, like reverb and delay onto that. I think we're going to turn the time. Let's not sync it. Yeah, maybe just like that. And then I kind of want to. Okay, that's not the pitch. Yeah, I think, you know, we're pretty much where we want to be. We do kind of want a long tail on this reverb, actually. Not that long, though. Not really. We kind of... Yeah, something like that. I want like a little bit purer tone to... I want more pure tone to that. Yeah, that's a little bit better. See if we can't really time it up. So it's almost like as soon as he gets to the top, there's a little delay and then it goes boom, boom. And so we'll try to sync that up a little early. So yeah, cool. That's it. I think we're going to end the stream a little bit early today because we're just at a good stopping point. Yeah, thanks again for tuning in, you guys. We'll be broadcasting more about Code Kid and other topics in the future, and we will play you out with some music here. Yes, and then let our sound effects run out. Turn this for a little fun. Put this at 180. Sweet. All right, that's all the time we have for today, guys. Thank you.